Hello, everyone, and welcome to On Purpose Astrology. It's been a little while actually since I posted on this channel. I've been thinking about what direction I want this channel to take. Obviously, astrology is and always will be the foundation. I'm a professional astrologer, but I'm also a trained and practicing psychic medium, and I am a Reiki master as well. And I've been thinking a while about how to integrate these other two modalities into my astrology work, particularly how I present it on social media. And what I'm experimenting with now, and I hope you enjoy this, I hope you listen to it and get something out of it. And please do comment, let me know what you think, is to let go of a lot of the astrological jargon, the astrological technicalities of deep diving into a chart and interpreting very precisely what, say, for example, Saturn square Venus might look like in sign and the houses they fall into, and do a more broader, hopefully more accessible update on how the energies are manifesting in the world, how the energies might feel, what are the energies of the planet. And in that, of course, I'm bringing in some of my Reiki energy, but I'm also bringing in some of my intuitive energy and information that I'm getting from my guides, from my spirit guides as well. So I'm calling it an astral energy update. For those of you, I'm sure many of people who watch this channel know a lot or even a little, or who are very much interested in astrology. So it is very much still, as I said, foundation. The foundation of the work here is still the astrology, but without a lot of the jargon, so that it's, as I say, going to be hopefully relevant to everyone, whether you understand astrology or not. Then you will be able to understand the energies I'm talking about. Maybe you'll relate to them, maybe they'll be useful to you. So let's see how we go. I'm planning to do this once a month, but if possible, even twice a month to catch us up on the energies. This first one is really an introduction. It's about the broader energies that are happening, not this week or this month, although they are relevant to this week and this month, but they go back a little bit further and they have a longer way to go there. We really, if you're thinking about the astrology, we're talking about some of what the outer planetary energies are giving us at the moment. So I think a lot of us can feel at the moment that changes in the air, changes, we might even be able to feel changes in our lives, but certainly around us, in the world in general, and certainly in the leaders who set the agenda to the future, for the future. But at the same time, it might also feel like same old business as usual. So no wonder many of us are feeling exhausted and confused. So it feels as if time itself is speeding up. Really feels like everything seems to happen quicker. There's less patience for things to pan out, for things to resolve themselves. There's like instant fixes, I think, certainly if we're looking at world events. And this sense that time is speeding up can feel overwhelming and exhausting, of course, especially if in our own personal lives we're not catching the wave of change, the wave of this energy, the waves of this speeding up energy. Feeling like we're not keeping up. Along with that comes that liminal space between waves where everything feels still. And of course, the stillness can feel uncomfortable at the moment because there's a sense that things must be moving forward. They must be moving forward very quickly. When I talk about the liminal space, it's if we use the analogy of the waves of the sea, then if you visualize or imagine the wave coming in and it peaks, and then there's that draw back, and then there's that still point before it starts again. That's what I talk about, that liminal space. And I think we can make the most, I think we're really being asked and called to make the most of that space in between, so that we can rest, so that we can regulate, so that we can relax a little bit. Even if that stillness, when you wait, especially if you're waiting for something to happen and you're feeling impatient, and impatience is very, very common at the moment. It can feel uncomfortable. and even anxious. And if we don't rest as much as we could or should, perhaps sometimes when that next whoosh, that next wave comes in that catches our attention or maybe even distracts us, feels like we've got to act or react, that can be even more exhausting. You know, sometimes we can catch the wave, things that come towards us, we can connect with it, we can catch it, we can run with it, we can, using the analogy to go even further, we can kind of surf it, and that can be really good for us. Or we don't catch it, we miss it, and that's fine too. That's okay. We are where we are, wherever that may be, both personally and more generally. So it's about recognizing this current sense of urgency, of things happening quickly, and then sometimes there's a pushback or a pullback, and that sense of stillness I've just talked about, which can feel quite chaotic in one sense, particularly when things are rushing towards us. That wave is rushing towards us, it can feel chaotic. But it can also feel it can also feel quite rhythmic as well. And I think there's something about the energies are telling me there's something about at the moment sort of moving with the rhythm, moving with the rhythm. A little bit of astrology here. We've got the North Node in Pisces, which is about flow and rhythm. And of course, Neptune is very strong in the sky at the moment as well, which is again is about surrendering to the rhythm and the flow of things, even though it's in the sign of fast moving Aries, which is this is one of the points I'm talking about where there's confusion about do we go with the flow or do we sort of push against the flow? If we are kind to ourselves, if we do allow ourselves to rest, if we do allow ourselves that time, that space, in that liminal space to really ground and breathe and keep our own space clean, keep our own space grounded, keeping ourselves center, then we'll have a better sense of where we need to hold on or where we need to let go. And this isn't easy. We'll make mistakes, we might crash, we might fall over, we might feel like we've just missed out, but that's fine. We need to be infinitely kind to ourselves now more than ever. What about these waves then? What are they? They could be in our lives, they could be material, practical, to do with money, physical, emotional issues. But this is that sense of peaking and frothing and drawing back. And, you know, as I've already said, I don't want to labour the point, but that drawing back gives us a chance to breathe, to regulate, to integrate and rest, and to get the perspective. It's when you're constantly acting, reacting, taking action, trying to move forward, it's easy to lose, particularly in stressful environments, in stressful situations. It's easy to sort of lose a connection with the perspective, with the biggest perspective when you're in something. And afterwards, when you can take that step back, you can go, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I can see the perspective now. So at the same time, some of us might be feeling really stuck in low energy and procrastination. I know I've been feeling this, or the feeling we're not quite yet sure of what our next steps needs to be. And I think I've been through that process. Hence, I'm recording a video now. Now I feel like I can move forward a little bit more. For a long while, actually, it's felt like the next steps for me, not just to do with this, but to do with a lot of things in my life and my business and the direction that I'm taking in my purpose, is that something has seemed for a while to be hovering, undefined, unsubstantiated in my field, a kind of hesitancy for it to come forward. So if you're feeling that, please be kind to yourself. Please know that it's normal. Please know that it's part of the energies at the moment that many of us might be feeling, and that things will start to move forward, because it's a lesson in patience, which can feel a little bit discombobulating when there's lots of energies in the air, in the ether, in the astrology that are saying, move, move, fast, fast, speed up, take a chance, take a chance. But we need to nurture what is growing inside of us. We need to nurture what is grown inside our, I guess we might call it an energetic womb, that creative energy that's in all of us, whatever gender we are, male or female, we all have an energetic womb. This is what I always say, we can support ourselves, our bodies. We need to support our bodies, I think. I'll be talking shortly about all this fire air energy. We're in the fire air era. I'll talk a bit more about that later. We've gone from the earth energies that we've been living with for quite a long time. So it's easy to forget to look after our vessel for this amazing journey in consciousness that we're all taking here on planet Earth. So looking after our body becomes even more critical. Self-care, being kind to ourselves, good sleep, exercise, healthy diet, you know, all the things that we've been told are good for us, as well as what I've said, these more esoteric things, just esoteric, I'm saying breathing and grounding, but we can make an esoteric practice out of that, a spiritual practice out of those things that we do every day. Breathe, you know, by doing it consciously, just to help to ground us. Breathing consciously is very grounding in itself. Also at this time is a time when we need to perhaps be aware, well, where it would be wise, it might be wise to be aware of the kind of words that we use, the way we phrase things, the way we speak to other people, the way we let other people speak to us, even the things that we think, the judgments that we might make, the negative judgments on ourselves and on other people and situations. Words have power, of course. They have the power to change things for the better or for the worse. So choose your words wisely in what you say, write and think even. I know it's difficult. It's difficult. We get into habits, we get into patterns. I've spent a long time, and I still catch myself out sometimes, trying to take the word hate out of my vocabulary. It's easy for me to say, oh, I hate seafood. Well, I don't hate seafood. I don't enjoy eating it. I don't like the taste, the texture, the smell of it, and it makes me feel a bit icky and blah, blah, blah. That's not hatred. So that's just one little example. You'll have your own examples. Just choosing those words carefully. By saying that I might hate this, that, and the other, just flippantly, you're still putting, to a little extent, a little bit of that energy of hatred into the world, right? You're adding to that energy of hatred as well. So be careful to express our thoughts, our ideas, our opinions, our feelings in ways that are in balance with how we really feel, rather than exaggerating, if you know what I mean. We can still be surprising, we can still be full of enthusiasm, full of excitement, but to be fair and not divisive. Again, there's a lot of division and divisiveness and fear out there in the world, in the news, in the things that are happening in the world, and we're asked to pick sides. And I think in the world at the moment, we're being given a teaching opportunity to be able to see things with more critical thinking, to see things that are happening in the world with more critical thinking, and saying, I don't have to sit on that side and, to use this horrible word, hate again, and hate that side of things, or those people, or that's what's happening. We can see all the different sides of things. We're getting very much a lot of this air energy is in Gemini, with Uranus having just gone into Gemini. A little bit of astrological information here, but it is relevant. And we do have to be careful about not too much division, about being careful about the words that we choose. Sometimes Uranus in Gemini likes to shock, to say things to get a reaction, to shock. In itself, there's nothing bad about that. If it's sometimes hearing something shocking can make us feel, oh, okay, oh, that's another perspective. I've seen the other side of it now. Gosh, that did surprise me. That did shock me, but it's made me think about it differently. But just to shock, just to get likes or ticks or strokes, or to just be nasty, obviously we need to be sort of careful about that. So be direct, be honest, but respectful. Take gossip and humour for with a pinch of salt, especially from social media, where I like to say a lie can travel around the world before the truth has got its socks on. Remember, there's two sides to every story, and we've just sort of talked about that. As I've already said, this kind of astral energy, this energy that we are in at the moment, isn't just for today or this week or for the couple of weeks. It's for the longer period, a few months. And so we've got plenty of time to work on it. We've got plenty of time to use these energies in positive ways. We've got plenty of time to integrate them in the best way possible for us individually. So there's an opportunity now, the potential for things to flow. So now more than ever, it's a good time to work on some of our blocks, the things that are holding us back. So it might be worth noting what comes up for us, what comes up in terms of our feelings. I certainly have been having lots of memories come up and very, very vivid dreams as well coming up. That might be true for you. I've spoken to a few people now who say, gosh, we have very, very vivid dreams, and people coming into our dreams. They don't feel like those weird dreams where everything morphs into something else. They feel like they're actual direct communications, which is really interesting. But our feelings, if we're feeling anger, frustration, guilt, resentment, shame, fear, notice. Notice what these feelings bring up for you. Notice what memories or thoughts or ideas come up with them. As I said, old memories have been popping up for me a lot. It has a lot to do with my astrological chart and my birth chart and the transits that I'm going through, which are very, very strongly related to the overall astral energies. I've really connected to them, which is why I feel useful and helpful to hopefully some of you for me to discuss them here. And it's not all about me. Everything I say, hopefully you can connect with at least some of it on your own personal level and in a more general level as well. When these feelings come out, whether it's frustration or anger or fear or guilt or whatever it is, or shame, notice it. Here's a little technique. It's kind of a melding of techniques that I've learned from three, I would say, actually, spiritual teachers that I've worked with over the last 4 or 5 years. When a feeling comes up, say you feel something comes up, you watch something on the news or something happens in your private life and you feel a pang of anxiety or fear. Remember, it's just a feeling. It's a not to minimize it, perhaps the word just is the wrong word, not just a feeling, it is a feeling, it's a valid feeling. Breathe into it. It's your body telling you that something is happening. It's your body telling you that you're reacting to something. So it's useful. These challenging emotions that come up are useful because they're telling us something, they're giving us messages. And if we can work with them in positive ways, this is a sort of, as I said, an amalgamation of 2 or 3 different spiritual teachers, and it has helped me. So I'm sharing it here so it'll help you. As for these emotions, okay. As for these emotions, say it's anxiety. I feel a bit of anxiety, which of course comes from fear. Feeling a little bit of anxiety now. I'm going to offer that up to the light. I'm going to offer that up to Source God. I'm going to offer it up to the universe. I'm going to offer it up to Gaia, to Earth. Whatever it is that you feel intuitively or you know to be some higher energy, some higher energy source creation, whatever it is, it doesn't matter really. All is good. Offer it up to the light to be cleansed and heal and to be available as light. Light that can be used in positive ways by yourself and by others that might need it. So it might be, I've had a little pang of anxiety about I've got to have a difficult conversation. I'm going to have the difficult conversation. That's fine. I'm going to have it. I'm going to have it with confidence. I know what I want to say. I'm still feeling a little bit anxious. That means that you care, but you can still clear some of that anxiety by just sort of saying, universe, source God, spirits, please take this anxiety and convert it to light energy, so that I can use that light energy and make it available to anyone else who's feeling anxious at the moment that might want to tune into this lighter energy. Because after all, these difficult emotions, another spiritual teacher describes these difficult, what we might call negative emotions, of consciousness under pressure. So they are miracles of consciousness in themselves. They are messages of consciousness that are telling us something. So if we offer them up to the light, we are lightening the pressure on ourselves, and lightening the pressure. Everything that we do to lighten pressure lightens the pressure all around us. We can still feel our emotions, but we can handle them in that way. That might be helpful. That might be helpful for some of you. Another thing that is really useful as well for many of us who are sensitive to the emotions and feelings of others, who might be empaths, who might sort of feel very strongly the emotions of others. If someone's sad and upset, we feel sad and upset. If someone's angry, we have very strong reactions to them, and we absorb them into our own field sometimes. Sometimes it's simple enough just to say to yourself, every day, several times a day, whenever you want to, the end of the day, beginning of the day, if it's not mine, take it away, take it out of my field. And whenever you do this kind of work, what I've just talked about, and then the more simple one, if it's not mine, take it away. If it's yours, you own it, you use it, you offer it up to the light, you offer it up to share the lighter version, which is taking for example, of anxiety, excitement, and courage. You know, courage comes from fear. Courage doesn't come from, courage without fear is recklessness, right? But when we have courage, it comes from that fear. So we can convert, we can ask and invite our guides, our source God, the universe, Gaia, the earth, our higher self, our soul, etc. Any of those things, whichever fits with us better, whichever vies with us much better, to convert that, but then also to make it available. I'm kind of repeating myself here, but just the last thing I want to say on this is, when we do ask for these things, like take it away now, whatever it is, we must say, and it is done now. It is done now. Not in some distant future, whenever. It is done now. And that just sort of kind of almost like seals the deal. Experiment in it. There's no harm to be done. It just experiment in it, and you might find that it helps you. So some of us, as I say, this is, I guess, quite a spiritual practice, and some of us are really feeling a call to the spiritual, probably have done for some time. And what many of us are being asked to do is to ground our spiritual beliefs, or this also applies to our moral or ethical beliefs, our faith in ourselves, our faith in humanity, our faith in wherever we put our faith. So we're all here, especially those of us who seek alignment with something greater than ourselves, to find novel and authentic ways to express ourselves and to live our lives. So I want to talk about how we serve. One of the tenets of my work of purpose and finding purpose is that your purpose serves you, but it also serves the world. That you are served and the world is served in very healthy ways when you get the balance right, when you're really living your purpose in a balanced way. So selfless service is out. I've done it, we've all done it. Particularly the feminine does it. Sacrifice your own needs, your own passions, your own purpose to serve someone else. Many of us have to do it in our family lives. Many of us have to do it in our jobs just to get by. But there is the opportunity now to really work on letting go of this selfless service, this service that demands surrender, that demands some kind of sacrifice. So what's in now, and this isn't fashion, it sounds like what's out, what's in, it's fashion. No, it's not fashion. It's, from my point of view, and everything I say here is from the point of view of how myself is interpreting the energies, and also, as I said, the intuitive guidance I'm getting on the energies as well. Sovereign service is in. So what does that mean? Well, it means we know this, of course we do. It means that when we serve others, whether that's to care for people, whether it's to look after businesses, whether it's to care for the animals, the world in general, whatever it is we are doing with our lives that's in service to something, to humanity, to the world, just to, even if it's just one other person, we must learn to look after ourselves first. And it's hard for some people. There's so many examples of where the balance isn't quite right. We talk about people who just serve themselves, just look after themselves and use other people. Then other people who fit into that kind of category. And I know I've been this person where you give it all away and you give it all away and you hope that you'll get something back, and you just end up burnt out, right? Exhausted and burnt out. So really, we all need to find that happy balance. Make sure we look after ourselves first. Make sure that we learn how to say no. Make sure we learn how to set boundaries. Now, this might be quite difficult. I think a lot of us, when we have to set boundaries, particularly if we're being given and given and given and given, and we don't want to get burnt out. Burnout is a big thing at the moment as well. If we don't want to get burnt out, we have to say no sometimes. We have to give ourselves what we need. And if you've been the person who gives to others, then without question, can't say no, then you might get a little bit pushback. And it's hard. I mean, I think for me, this has been one of the most difficult lessons actually, is getting that pushback, because it makes me feel upset. I've upset them because I'm not doing what they want me to do. But in the end, people get used to it. You set those boundaries and you maintain those boundaries, and then people eventually go, oh, okay. And then they have more respect and they think, you know what, that's right, and if they really are just wanting to bleed you dry, so to speak, they'll just move on anyway. They'll just move on to somebody else. So we set our boundaries. So what we're looking for is empowered relationships, not codependent relationships. And that's, I think, codependent relationships are those kind of relationships where there's a giver and there's a taker and the balance isn't quite right. Especially as there is very much, seems to be anyway, a narcissistic epidemic at the moment. So that's something to be aware of. People pleasing is out, as I've said, but so is callous selfishness, really, to just summarize what I've just said. What we're here to do is lead and serve by demonstrating healthy and compassionate selfishness. Okay. The divine feminine in all of us, right? We plugging into the divine feminine in all of us. Now, particularly if we're more feminine than masculine, we've all got the divine feminine and masculine in us, but we need to, I think, we are being called to recognize that the feminine, divine feminine energy in all of us, it's a powerful force. It's miraculously creative. And the goddesses are making themselves known to us more and more in the newly discovered dwarf planets in the far reaches of our solar system that are coming to us to offer us new insights, new evolution in our human consciousness. I'm doing I've already recorded a talk with a wonderful astrologer who is a bit of an expert on all these new planets, these new so-called dwarf planets. We recorded a talk yesterday on which was on the 26th of May. If you're watching this, just so you know, probably wasn't yesterday if you're watching this a few days on or a few weeks later. But we recorded a conversation about Sedna. And Sedna is one of these dwarf planets, the Inuit goddess of the oceans, and she's very much about female empowerment. She's very much about that balance of resources, that balance of our emotional energy, also our physical resources as well. And she had to learn the lesson the hard way as well, just like many of us have had to. So I've already said burnout's a hot topic right now, right? Many of us are feeling that. Certainly, I've been through a couple of burnouts in my life, and I've had to take some hard lessons from that. It's a sign we're giving too much of ourselves away to things that don't serve us, don't serve our higher purpose. And as I've already said, ultimately they don't serve others. So the last little piece really, which follows on from that, it follows on from what I've said, is that we are in what astrologers are calling the fire air era. Really, we've got the first touches of it in 2020, and it's really coming into its own now with the astrological alignments that are happening. A little bit of astrology now. The outer planets are aligning in Aries, Gemini, Aquarius, and the second half of this year, Jupiter will go into Leo. As you know, Neptune, and as I'm sure you know, Neptune and Saturn are in Aries. They've just had a conjunction. Uranus and Sedna, I've just talked about, are in early Gemini. Pluto's been in Aquarius for a while, and as I said, Jupiter will go into Leo, and they'll all be connected. They're all connected right now. And then Jupiter, the planet of hope and optimism, will also be joining them in the second half of this year. So there's a lot to be positive about. There's a lot to be positive about. These connections between these planets in these signs are benign aspects. So there's a real opportunity for evolutionary growth of mankind in a really, really, really positive way. But what is the fire and air energy? What's it all about? Well, it's where idealism, inspiration, and enthusiasm meets the desire to connect and communicate. Fire and air together. It's more civilized. The air signs are civilized. They're known as the civilized signs, the social signs. Whereas pure fire on its own can become ruly and out of control. So there is a civilized, a way to connect and communicate in a civilized way that's not out of control. Looking at it very, very positively. Fire brings, though, passion and spirit to air, because the air signs by themselves, they can become overly intellectual, detached, and unfeeling. However, this type of energy, this fire air energy, remember we've come out of lots of earth, lots of grounded earth, and all of a sudden this is this sense, this fire air energy, this is the root of the sense where things seem to be speeding up and catching the waves and we can't quite keep up and it's all a bit overwhelming and we're heading towards burnout and all of these kind of feelings generally that many of us would feel like we're going through. So it can feel like restless energy physically and mentally, hence the association, as I've said, with burnout. But fire with air makes for decisiveness and it offers the courage to act on ideas. It's a powerful combination which is very, very expressive, very creative combination where ideas can be put into action. Remember, I said there's that sense of procrastination and blocks to be worked through before we can act, or this sense that something is brewing and it's not quite ready to be born yet. When it is, can be very creative. When it does feel ready, when we are ready to ride that wave, when we are ready to go with that flow, where we are ready to take action, we should know in our gut and in our heart when the time is right. It's time, I think, to more and more understand that we don't have just one brain, we have three brains. There are neurons in our tummy, in our gut, there are neurons in our heart as well. So we actually have three brains. And sometimes it's useful to sort of get into, sometimes it's very helpful to try and get into the practice. Well, how does that feel in your gut? Does your gut feel light? Does it feel like, oh God, I don't know. Have you ever had what's I can only describe as an energetic gut punch, a punch in the guts when you know something's wrong or something's really hit you. Nothing has physically hit you, but you can feel that. Not, oh my God, that's wrong. That's really touched something. Or the guts kind of, oh, is it? Or I've talked about anxiety earlier, and it's that feeling, that anxious feeling, actually can be felt in the belly, can't it? It can be felt in the belly, things moving and grumbling and all the rest of it. So feeling into the gut when you really talk to it and ask it, is it time for me to start taking action? Do I need a little bit more time? Your gut can tell you, it can really tell you. And then the heart as well, the heart space is, how do I feel? How do I feel about this? And then once you get that feeling, the feeling is right, the gut feels right, then you can go into the mental brain, the brain in your head, and then figure out the creative process. How are you going to do the things that you want to do? How are you going to express this passion and enthusiasm? What's it going to look like in the world? Very much, we have this amazing system here that we've almost forgotten about, that we can combine these three brains. I think there's something to be said, something I've read somewhere, that there are as many neurons in your gut as there are in a cat's brain. So if you've got a little cute kitty, and animals are very instinctive, aren't they, as well? Well, you know that there's power there and there's instinct there, of course. So put into action. But the attention might be to take on too much, as I've already alluded to. And again, we must take that time to rest. We don't want to get burnt out. Fire and air is also the combination of the passionate, the straight talking, frank communication. This might be refreshing, of course. I've already talked about the power of words, but we need to be aware, for those who are more sensitive, that we can, our words have power that can be used negatively. It can feel like you're being criticized if someone says, I'm going to tell you the truth about you. Well, it's none of their business. If someone says something that criticizes you, what they say about you is their business, not your business. Physical and emotional needs shouldn't be ignored at this time. Well, never really, should they? And often life will send us reminders to focus on these areas if they're being neglected, of course. And eventually, as the energies mature, these energies I'm talking about, and we integrate them, we'll start to look for deeper meanings for our life path, for our purpose, rather than simply acting on naive ideas and passions, which is another thing that fire and air energy can be, that naive ideas and naive passions. But what's available right now is spiritual transformation, a step up to a higher level of consciousness, even a revolution in consciousness and self-knowledge, a deeper understanding of the truth of who we are, the opportunity to shed victimhood and embrace self-empowerment, the chance to discover and follow our passions and take further than we could have imagined before. It's time, and we can afford to take our time. We don't need to rush headlong. If that feels like pressure, take time to enjoy the journey. Take time to see the scenery as we go by. We can stand still now and hold the space at the center of our chaos and still claim our power and pursue our dreams. And together we can help to create a world that is fair and loving. Thank you. Thank you so much.